All right, my gold medal topic. It's really painful for me, almost as painful as what he was just talking about. The college football playoff. Who's gonna get the number 4 spot? My alma mater, Utah, doesn't look like they're gonna get the 4 spot or have a chance at it. It's 15-30 with 7 minutes left.
3 minutes ago.
Oh well, my internet's bad. And so yeah, it's over for them. So now it's more evened up. It's more opened up. We have Georgia, Baylor, Oklahoma, maybe even with an outside shot, Wisconsin or something like that if they beat Ohio State.
Right.
But we have our 4 teams now that my teams eliminated themselves. So who you got?
Getting that last spot.
Yeah.
I have a theory on these top 4 spots. I was talking to an Alabama fan about this. And with LSU being number 1 and Georgia has the 4th spot, right? I don't see any reason for the switch for any kind of changes. Because here's the thing. If Georgia and LSU have a really close game in this SEC championship, and let's say it goes down to 1 possession, I think LSU wins late in the game. How can you tell Georgia you're not the 4th best team? In fact, if Georgia plays LSU really close, that probably means they're the 2nd best team. And so I don't see anybody, especially with Utah losing, I don't see anybody sneaking in at that 4th spot because I think unless LSU comes out and just completely obliterates Georgia, then of course, hey, you lost by 40, get out of here. But if this is a close game in primetime SEC championship, if Georgia beats LSU, I don't think either one of them should leave the top 4 if it's a close game this weekend. So I don't see too much changing happening in the top 4. I think Ohio State stays where they are. I don't see them losing. And then Clemson is number 3.
Yeah, so it's Ohio State, LSU are 1-2. Clemson is 3.
Yeah.
And yeah, Georgia, and now it's going to be Oklahoma and Baylor.
Oklahoma will be the team that's on the outside looking in.
And
if we're going to go off strength of schedule, LSU and Georgia, are right at the top, and then Ohio State has been slapping.
Right.
That's the big thing.
Yeah.
And I imagine they're going to give, Wisconsin all they can handle and probably win that one handily. So I don't see a reason to change it. I don't think Oklahoma, as high-powered as they are, with a Heisman candidate and Jalen Hurts,
They lost to Oklahoma State. That loss to Oklahoma State, I can't put them in the top 4, regardless of how the season ends. So that's how I feel about it.
I think the Big 12 champion is actually in the driver's seat right here because, in my opinion, LSU is going to beat Georgia. And when that happens, I don't agree with Niles. I don't think a 2-loss SEC team is going to beat a 1-loss Big 12 champion in terms of because you're already in the 4 spot and a loss could plummet you a little bit in one ranking and you don't have time to make it up. I really do think that Oklahoma, and you gotta think of it this way. It's about ratings as well. I do think Oklahoma is going to be the big draw TV-wise. It's going to be a little tougher if Baylor wins the Big 12. I actually do think that helps Georgia, a 2-loss SEC team, still retain their position and get in the top 4. But I think a team like, Oklahoma is going to be now in the driver's seat if they win because they're going to have all the intangibles that the committee is going to want to select as well as a resume to back it up. But I would disagree. I would say at the moment, if you're asking me who's the number 1, because it actually does matter, the 1 versus 2, because then 2 is going to play Clemson, 1's going to play the number 4. I really think Ohio State is deserved of that number 1 spot.
I think so.
Even their out-of-conference games, like Cincinnati, for instance, those teams have kind of crept up into the top 25 or on the borderline of it. They have some quality wins out of conference, which is kind of atypical of them, generally. But they actually have a good strength of schedule. I would say Ohio State narrowly has the top spot over LSU, even though LSU has a better strength of schedule. Ohio State's it's deceptively close if you look at statistics.
Well, when you look at Ohio State, like Russ said, they've just completely dominated the conference they're in. I wouldn't mind giving them number 1. I just, like you said, with the strength of schedule, I think LSU should get that, especially if they win this game this weekend. But I think I say even if LSU loses, you got to keep them in that top 4.
Oh yeah, that's the other thing. If LSU, I think I think
They're in
I think
regardless.
Ohio State is also in this position. I agree with you, Russell. Like, I think if either of them loses, they're
Yeah.
still in the top
I think
4,
they're in the top 4 regardless.
which will make people go crazy.
Oh,
but
of course, they'll be upset.
It is a reality. They're just so far ahead that even one loss, unless it's just catastrophic
Right.
and they have like an injury. That's the one thing that is like the asterisk to all of this. The committee does consider injuries and based on how good you will look. That's why Alabama fell so far, was because it wasn't based off of their resume. It was based off the fact that we don't think you look as good with Mac Jones as opposed to Tua Tagovailoa. So that's the one caveat, but I really do think what we're going to see is Ohio State LSU 1-2, Clemson 3, and then you're going to see the 4 spot go to Oklahoma if they win the championship, or if Baylor wins the Big 12, I could see Georgia, a 2-loss team, still retaining that 4 spot. You guys have any final thoughts, or do you think that's good?
No, I think that's